Completing 50 Hive missions in Marvel's Avengers to unlock the To the Dark and Back Again trophy is such a chore to do, and for many it would be the worst part of the Platinum journey. But just why are the Hive missions, and in turn this trophy, so bad? Well, today I'm going to tell you why. So, Avengers?
Assemble.
Yeah, we don't really say that.
Just be cool, okay? Got it.
That one bullshit PlayStation trophy.
So, the Hive missions task you with clearing 5 floors of the AIM building, with each floor having a sub-objective to complete, such as destroy a bunch of generators, upload Jarvis into these control point terminals, or defeat a bunch of elite enemies that you must complete before you can access the next floor. Then, after clearing all 5 of the floors, you will complete the Hive mission and have just another 49 to do before you can earn the trophy. And in general, a Hive mission can take anywhere between 30 and 15 minutes to complete, depending on how leveled up your heroes are. But the length of them isn't your only problem, as these missions get dull and repetitive really fast. I mean, for me, after about 5 of them, I was pretty much done with these missions, let alone 50. My god, what were they thinking? Even the way these Hive missions are structured will annoy you, as they are padded out with pointless sections that only serve to get in your way and halt your progress. You see, each mission starts outside the AIM building for some reason, and you're put about 200 meters away from it, meaning you then have to run all the way over there and then deal with the large group of enemies that is always outside of the building before you can access the panel and get into the building to actually start the first floor of this Hive mission. And that alone will probably take you about 5 minutes, again depending on how leveled up your heroes are and how quickly you can defeat them and press that button. Then, to make matters worse, each floor also has these annoying corridor sections just full of enemies that lead to a control panel that you have to then hold down square to press it, which will open up a door to the main room of that floor that you have to do the objective on. You, for some stupid reason, never start in the building and never start in the room that you actually have to do these missions on and clear out the floors. And with the load times, these sections just become really annoying parts of the Hive mission that you'll just skip past all the enemies to get to the door switch before you can open it and start the mission properly. It's just dumb padding. And honestly, I don't get why it's like this, because all of this padding just makes these missions take way more longer than they should. I mean, why can't you just start in the building on the very first floor, and then as soon as you've defeated all the enemies or cleared that objective, the floor just rises or goes down like you're in one big lift? That would be a much quicker way of doing it, and much more fun, as getting into the buildings and these added corridors do nothing but just annoy the player and get in their way, especially after doing multiple missions in a row. Those parts just annoy you, trust me. And if somehow that doesn't annoy you, how about the amount of lift and loading screens that you have to sit through every time you go into a new floor? It feels long on the PS5, even with the SSD, so I can only imagine how worse this is on PS4. And the jokes, my god, the 1 or 2 jokes the characters have just repeat over and over again, and honestly, pretty much none of them were funny. None of them made me chuckle. I just, again, rolled my eyes. So, this trophy requires you to do 50 hives. Thank God it wasn't 100. But, of course, with a trophy like this, of course, there's no trophy tracking for it on PS5, and there's no in-game stat to see how many Hive missions you've completed, so unless you're keeping count yourself, you'll have no idea how many you've done and how far away you are from the trophy, and more importantly, if it's actually counting them correctly or not. And frustratingly, if you were to play this game online, bearing in mind it's an online live service game, or it was an online service game that you were meant to play in multiplayer, if you did it like that, the the Hive missions would actually glitch out and wouldn't always count, meaning you could end up having to do far more than the 50 required. And looking online, reading forum posts, I've seen players who have had to do 150 of these before they got the trophy. My god. And sadly, that's not the end of the glitches you will encounter either, as the Hive missions bugged out on me loads of times, which forced me to either restart the floor or worse, the entire thing. A lot of times you'll find that you go into a new floor and it doesn't load any enemies in the room for you, and even if it's the objective where you just have to kill the enemies, it still won't actually count and that you progress. You'll just end up doing nothing. Or you might find that after killing all the enemies in a room on a floor, you can't progress further because at some point, somehow, an enemy has fallen through the floor and is now just stuck in limbo, unable to die or be killed by your hand. And this one I saw at least 5 times throughout my 50 Hive mission runs, which forced me to restart. And it's just so annoying. And it's probably also best to avoid playing as the Incredible Hulk too, unless of course you want this to happen.
Surprise! Lightning position!
I'm inside AIM security system.
Oh, this could be going better.
The missions on the floors are also random, so the same room could have a different objective in your next run, or just not appear in that Hive mission at all. And while you would think that would help to freshen it up each time, it doesn't really do much to quell the boredom that you're going to feel. And annoyingly, the enemies are also seemingly randomised, and that can have a good or a bad effect on your Hive mission run, as sometimes you'll have runs where it just spawns in weak, easy enemies, while other runs you'll find that you're constantly fighting the bigger robotic enemies, or those annoying ones with like the sword things that just like do massive damage to you. And those runs will just take longer because it's constantly spawning in these big enemies that just take longer to kill, or those annoying teleporting ones that just take a while for you to catch them. And there's also no big real payoff to clearing the final floor. The mission just sort of ends, so it never even feels like a big accomplishment beating one of these Hive missions and getting through this gauntlet of enemies, because it always just fizzles out with a whimper, so it never even feels enjoyable to beat these. And some of the floors, they will end once the objective is complete, regardless of how many enemies are left in the room, like this control point one, which is actually the best mission you can get, as you can end it really quickly by capturing all 3 points. Yet other ones, like destroying the generators, they won't end until you've destroyed and killed all the enemies in the room, so you are still forced to kill all the enemies, even though you've done the objective, which just drags these missions out for way too long. And honestly, this dragged out feeling will get you throughout the whole of this trophy, as I would often feel that it spawns 1 or 2 waves of enemies more than it should per floor battle, because you'll be fighting loads of enemies and you'll beat them thinking it's over, only for it to then just spawn in a load more of these bigger enemies that you just defeated. And honestly, when that happens, you'll just roll your eyes and wonder why you even bothered with this game in the first place. But maybe you'll be 10, 20, 30 or even 40 Hive missions in by that point, and you've come way too far to stop now, so you'll just push on like I did and keep grinding out these Hive missions back to back. But honestly, this one probably isn't worth your time platinuming, as the game is rather bland. Like the MCU stunt double Avengers you play as, this game is just no match for the real thing, which is why this trophy gets a BS trophy rating of